Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. It's lovely to have your company again today. And today I have a very special guest for you. We have in our midst TLC. TL Clark is her name. Hello, TL Clark. I love the TLC thing because we all need a bit of TLC, and today we all have it in the form
Yay!
of TL Clark. Yeah, so welcome, darling. It's so lovely to have you.
It's lovely to be here.
Awesome. We've tried this before in 2020, I think, but not on Zoom, and it all went terribly, terribly wrong. So I'm delighted that you
Technology.
I'm delighted you've agreed to return. Yeah. So, my darling, can you tell us a tiny little bit about TLC, please?
Yeah, I mean, starting with the name, yes, it is my pseudonym, T.L. Clark. It does actually stand for TLC, Tender Loving Care, because I am a romance author. And in every single one of my books, you will find TLC or Tender Loving Care mentioned in there. It's a little Easter egg
Oh,
because
that's
I am a bit
awesome.
cheesy. Um, so yes, I am a romance author. My authoring mission is to explore love in its many forms.
You're a girl after my own heart, my darling.
Oh my gosh, it's just fascinating. There's this one word, love, but it can have so many different connotations and meanings and feelings attached to it. So I'm just exploring it all.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm so delighted because I do the same. Yeah.
I don't know what else you want to know about me, really.
No, I think
Obviously
that's all.
British.
Yes, British. Well, you don't live in London though. You live further along.
I live down the south in Hampshire.
Okay, because I've seen some of your posts on social media where you are in beautiful places. Oh my word, places I've never been to. So I'm like looking at them going, oh yeah, that's on my bucket list. That's on my bucket list.
Oh, I am
Stunning.
really, really lucky down here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I live close to the sea, but I'm right near the New Forest as well. So
yeah,
I've got like everything on my doorstep,
that's
you know.
fantastic. Yeah, and makes for fabulous romance writing, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely. The New Forest itself helped inspire the
Oh,
setting of one of my books,
yeah.
even though it's set in Wales. Love Bites is sort of inspired by that forest living idea.
I don't blame you. It's beautiful there. Okay, so I'm going to start peppering you with questions if you don't mind,
Okay.
my darling. So first of all, if I look down, it's because I wrote them down here. What inspired you to write romance, and what drew you to historical and Regency romance in particular? Because I see a lot of your books like that. I mean, obviously, I'm thinking of Love Habit, for example.
Yeah, I already kind of said, I'm exploring love in its many forms. My very first book was actually a contemporary romance, Young's Love. Um, but then as I started writing more, I eventually wrote Regency Love, which is my full-length Regency novel, because I love Jane Austen. It was as simple as that. I
Yeah,
love Jane Austen.
awesome.
And I live relatively near Jane Austen House Museum,
Oh,
which
yes.
is where I wrote the first and last scenes of that book.
Oh, my word. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was just incredible. There was a writing workshop there, and I was like, yes, I'm going there. I'm doing
Oh,
that.
that must have felt amazing following
Oh,
those
it was,
footsteps. Yeah.
yeah. And you could almost feel the inspiration like pouring in.
Oh, wow.
Um, so yes, I wrote Regency Love and people really liked it. And I was fascinated. I've always been a history buff anyway. Um, and I had more to give. And so then I wrote a little short story for an anthology called A Haverton Christmas, which is now out on its own.
To know.
And that took a side character from Regency Love and just made it festive and Christmassy and what happens if there's this young lady that wasn't successful during the season and she's been sent home and her family are like,
Oh,
oh,
bless.
bad daughter. Um, So we've got that one. And then last year I released Miss Georgiana's Quest for Love.
I saw that.
Yeah, oh my gosh. So it takes Georgiana Darcy because we know so little about her in that book.
Yeah.
And she had such a terrible, terrible time with the evil Mr. Wickham. And I wanted to give her a happier ending rather than just, oh, she'd faded off into the background. So I wrote her follow-up story.
Great.
Yeah. And then yeah, I wrote Love in the Roses, which is where we start going medieval.
Right. Yes, I saw that part as
Yeah.
well. It's beautiful. Beautiful covers. You've got beautiful covers.
Oh, thank
Love
you.
them. Yes,
It takes a lot of work to get those covers.
I would imagine so. Yeah, yeah. They are stunning. They really are. So yeah, we'll
One of the
post
joys,
we'll post links to your books below the video so people can go and
yeah,
find them.
yeah, take a look because yeah, there's honestly like something for everyone there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, writing different subgenres of romance is a different look for each cover that you have to look into each time. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, I started researching Love in the Roses. It took me 2 years to research and write that book.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
That,
Um,
yes, I can
but
imagine.
yeah, oh gosh, it was, I had to do a lot of research for Regency Love, which I didn't expect to do because I'd read all of Jane Austen. I've watched all the adaptations. I've read a lot of Regency, not just Austen.
Yeah.
And then I sat down to write and went, then
Blank.
they ate breakfast. And I was like, oh, oh, Jane Austen never said what they ate for breakfast.
Isn't that interesting though? Because then you go down that rabbit hole of finding
Yeah,
out people's lives.
no,
Oh, it's
exactly.
wonderful.
There's so many details to know.
Yeah.
Which is why I wrote How to Write a Historical Novel and love
Yes,
it.
I think that's also brilliant because so many people would like to do that, but they have no idea where to begin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So many
So,
people are, oh, I'm so daunted by the research. I was like, it can be overwhelming. And
yeah.
being me, I'm so fascinated. I end up going down all these little rabbit holes of the internet and spending hours. And
And then
I
not
couldn't
all
do,
of that makes it into your book, I would imagine,
no,
right? Yeah, because
absolutely
it's like,
not. I can
yeah,
spend
background.
a
Yeah.
whole day looking into something
Yeah.
just to make a brief mention of it in a sentence, or even not at all. It's just stuff I, as the author, knows.
Yeah. But it's all useful because it gives meaning to what you're writing. And if you don't do that authentically in a way, then something kind of goes missing, isn't it, really, I suppose?
Exactly. It gives you like a base to jump from.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
Um, but yeah, researching Love in the Roses, I came across all these drawings of the marginalia that you find in like religious books, like books of
Yes,
hours and psalters and things like that.
of course,
And
yes.
all these drawings, there's some very, very odd ones.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I often wondered about that, the drawings and aren't they related to, am I wrong about this? Now you can tell us. The
Okay.
roses, it's to do with glass as well, the window shapes. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Okay. I may have read
Yeah.
it somewhere and it's stuck and it may be completely wrong.
Um, no, I do know that looking at the books of hours, they're very ornately decorated
Right.
because these were religious books and they're all hand copied
Oh,
out
yes, of course.
by monks in monasteries. And these rich people could then pay for extra artwork in them and put in requests and things.
Right.
But there was an awful lot of naked bottoms.
Oh my word. Well, yeah, I suppose there would be.
Hang on, monks drew these. This is becoming a bit obsessive. Like, there's a lot
Naked
of
bottoms.
bums. Um,
I love it.
and so it kind of sparked a thought. I was like, it's a curious thing for monks to be drawing. Why would they be drawing those? It suddenly struck me. I had an aha moment, or
Right.
a bit of a duh moment, actually. If you were gay in medieval England, it was not illegal. That was thanks to Henry VIII.
Right.
So before that, it wasn't illegal, but obviously it wasn't supported
Right.
either. So if you were a young gay man and you were in a wealthy family and they were expecting you to marry, well, it's going to become pretty obvious pretty soon that you
Yes.
couldn't consummate that marriage.
That's right. Yes. Oh dear.
So you might want to escape in some sort of, noble way. And you could
Yes.
join things like the army or the navy, or you could join a monastery,
Of course.
a
A
secluded
secluded.
community
Yes.
kept in secret, full of like-minded men,
Yes.
very similar backgrounds, because they were wealthy. To become a
Right.
monk, your family had to donate a parcel of land or a very large sum of money.
Lord. Okay.
So they're all, yeah, similar backgrounds. And obviously that had quite a draw on, you know, a certain personality type.
Mm. That's
And I'm
interesting
not
though.
saying all monks were gay.
No,
Before
no.
anyone comes at me,
Yeah.
obviously there were some people that were just there because they were very devout and
Yeah.
wanted to spend their life praising God.
Yeah.
There
But
were
they
those
were.
like Paul in my novel,
Yeah.
whose father committed him to the monastery. His mother had a very difficult birth. So his father, when it looked like she was going to die,
Oh Lord.
said, "Oh, dear Lord, if you save my son, I will pledge him to you. He will become part of the church." So when he comes of age, he's been to a monastic school as part of his life training. And we start the book as he enters Darren's Priory.
Wow. Okay. That's fascinating. Oh my word. I haven't read many of your I've got to go and read some of your books because that's fascinating to me as well. You know what I mean? Because yes, you're right. It was such a different life. Such a
Yeah,
different life that it's hard to imagine it now, isn't it, really, to be fair? Wow.
it is. And it's
Fascinating.
not at the same time. Doing these books, you find a lot of similarities as well as the big differences.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still not over the trauma of writing A Time Before Coffee.
Oh, okay.
It's
Oh,
like
what a fabulous.
these people are getting up at the crack of dawn to prayer,
Oh my
and then
word.
they're doing it without coffee. How?
No,
How
no,
is it
no, I can't
possible?
function. Oh my word. Yeah. Oh, how
Yeah, there were no
fascinating.
potatoes either, which I personally find very difficult because
Yeah.
I eat a potato product every day.
Aha. Yes. Well, so do I actually, to be fair. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
most people do. It's
Most
part
people
of our
do.
culture these days.
True.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Interesting. That is fascinating, isn't it? Yeah, because further down my list of questions, I was going to ask you about research. So thanks for
yeah,
telling us. Yeah, that sounds amazing. I mean, I think most authors on some level have to do some kind of research at some point. But I
yeah.
think the kind of books you write requires quite a lot of in-depth jumping down
Yeah,
rabbit
it's
holes.
an
Yeah.
extra level.
Awesome. I love the fact that you wrote a non-fiction book about how to write it. Yeah, that's really useful, I think, for anyone out there who's dreaming of writing a historical fiction book. Go and get this one.
You
But
can do it,
yeah,
and
you
let me help
can
you
do it.
do it.
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to ask you another question, which I don't know if this is fair or not, but if you could have dinner, I think I know already the answer. If you could have dinner with any literary figure, real or fiction, who would it be and why?
Mm, um,
The
Jane Austen.
right answer.
Ding, ding, ding.
I
It's
love
not a
it.
real huge
Yeah.
surprise, is it?
What would you talk about with her, do you think?
I would love just to pick her brains over everything because what a lot of people kind of gloss over is her snarky nature, that her books were written during a time of war. The Napoleonic Wars were on in the background,
Mhm.
and she was writing as sort of an antithesis to that. It
Ah,
was bringing joy and lightheartedness to a
mm,
very dark time.
right.
And she did it by poking fun at society. And it's most obvious in Lady Susan. She really plays into that poor woman.
Right. Awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, she does. She's actually really quite acerbic. And
Yeah.
yeah, I would just love to
Isn't it?
chat and find out what that humour sort of presented as.
Yeah. And how she got there, right? I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So my next question to you, my darling, is this. Every author or every writer has their own process. Are you a meticulous plotter or do you allow your characters to lead the way? The
I'm
latter.
such a pantser. I really am. I'm committed to pantsing. Loud and proud.
But these days they call it discovery writing, don't they? Which I think is so
I still call
charming.
it pantsing because it is the seat of my pants, you know.
I love it. Oh my word.
Just have to cling
Yeah,
on for dear life as my characters take me on this
take you
journey. It's like
on.
a
Yeah.
roller coaster.
Oh my word. And do you just allow them to take you, or do you sometimes go, hang on a minute, I actually want to go here and you're going over there, and can we have a middle ground somewhere? Or do
I
you allow
tried
them just
that.
to,
I tried it, and then the evil character in Love Bites wrote me into a corner.
ah, often do that. Yes.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And
Listen.
it was such a dead end. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to remove that entire section and
Right.
rewrite it.
Right. Oh my word. Yeah, because I was going to say, how did you overcome that then? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Oh,
writing.
I got my own back, don't you worry.
You have to. You have to. These evil characters, you have to put
Yeah.
them in their place. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I start with an image that comes to me. I am a Reiki master,
Ah,
so
that,
I channel Reiki.
right,
And my books come to me like I channel Reiki, but it's on a slightly different frequency.
right.
It's like tuning a radio.
Yeah,
Um, but that scene will often come to me in that place between sleep and awake.
that's wonderful.
It
It's that sort of meditative state, isn't it? Kind of thing.
is, yeah. No, it really is. So I get this scene, and it can be at any point in the book. It might be the first scene, it might be the last, or anywhere in between. And yeah, I sit down with that in my head and kind of ask the characters their names and double check their meaning. Because if you look up the meaning of my main characters' names, you will get big clues as to their role and or personality.
Oh, how wonderful.
I
That's
am a bit
exciting.
geeky.
Yeah. Not just plucked out of the air. Hmm.
Oh no, no, they're very specific.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, I don't tend to change them. If a character gives me their name, it actually is appropriate for them. So yeah.
Yeah, I suppose because that's why they gave it to you, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I get that completely. I mean, I
I
don't.
know this sounds really weird to most people.
Not really, no. I mean, I work similarly, and I've spoken to quite a few authors who say that they dream their books. You know, they literally dream it. So when they wake up in the morning, they can't wait to start writing. And I've had that
Yeah,
experience myself. I don't do Reiki or anything like that, but I'm very much into energy work and with voice, and I do Tai Chi, and so I understand completely when you say that excuse me, that place between sleeping and wakefulness, that's when it comes. And it is like a download. It's
it
brilliant.
is.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love the name thing. That's wonderful. That's really good. Okay, so um, let's go on a bit more. So now this is the one that I was going to ask you a bit more about the research, but I'll ask it anyway and then
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
So historical and Regency romance often involves um, strict social rules and expectations. How do you balance historical accuracy with crafting compelling modern feeling stories?
Yeah, I mean, it can be challenging, and there were very different thoughts and beliefs.
Yeah.
Um, for example, my characters are obviously Catholic in my new book, Love Habit, because they're monks.
Right.
And
Yes.
the Protestant movement wasn't really a thing. So the main religion of England at the time was Catholicism even. I can't even say
You said it
it.
perfectly.
But I'm not Catholic. I don't even say I'm Christian or particularly religious. I'm spiritual, which is a very cliche word these days, but I
Yeah.
am. I'm a spiritual person. And so I had to actually research a lot of Catholic rules and saints and prayers and all that good stuff as well. Um, but also I had to give that flavour and essence of how people would react to this gay couple.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
and do it in a realistic way. But it was so important to me to write a positive
Mm,
LGBTQIA plus
yeah.
story
Yeah.
because so many historical stories give them a really tough time.
Yeah.
And that wasn't always the case. And
Right.
especially in the Middle Ages where it wasn't yet illegal. And yes, it was frowned on, but all sex was frowned on. Like
Right.
all of it.
Yeah. 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 Interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It is interesting because I mean, most of us, unless we are also in that, you know, world that you inhabit, researching and looking at historical romance and everything, we never think about things like I've never thought about things like this at all because I'm like you. I'm spiritual. I'm not belonging to anything. So I
yeah.
get it completely. Right, my darling. So what is the most unexpected or intriguing things you've discovered while researching your books? Now, you've told us a few already. I didn't know about the
So
bumps, the
much.
naked bumps. But was there something that kind of made you go, I never knew that, and that's weird, or it's odd, or it's amazing, or yeah.
I can tell you my most disappointing one.
Oh, go on then.
When I was writing True's Love,
Mm.
there's I won't say the word in case it flags up, a pew pew.
Okay.
I think
Yes.
we know what I mean.
I think you know what I mean.
Um,
Yes, definitely.
Now, silencers, they don't make that cute noise. There was a silencer
Or
involved in that
silence.
story, and you hear it in films, they make that cute sort of
Yes.
noise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they don't.
No.
In reality, that's very disappointing.
Disappointing. Yes, I agree with you.
Because you hear it every time in films and like TV shows.
Yeah. But not then. No, no, no.
No, no,
Very
not in real life.
amazing.
It just deadens the sound. It doesn't make it sound like some sort of phaser.
Okay. That's, yeah. What a shame.
Yeah.
That's half joy, I suppose. Yeah. Right, my darling. So I'm going to ask you, because I've just realized we kind of getting 10 minutes into when we're finishing now. So I'm going to
Okay.
skip a few things, but I also really would like you to read something from your book.
Yes.
So let me just see. So I was going to say, do you have a favorite book you've written or a favorite character that holds a special place in your heart? And if so, who is that? And if not, that's fine too, because all my books are my babies. I couldn't choose.
Yeah, I mean, don't ask me to choose
No, no,
because, yeah, they're
it's
all my
impossible.
babies and I love them all.
Yeah,
But obviously, my latest is the nearest to my heart at the moment.
yeah, yeah.
And I am super proud of it. The guys in it are so sweet. Honestly, they're just gorgeous.
Oh, that's lovely. It's lovely when your characters fill you with adoration because, yeah, that's what happens. And you kind of look at them and you go, wow, I didn't know you to this depth until I
Yeah,
started writing you. So would you like to read a little bit from your book for us, my
do.
darling?
And I think you'll like it If I just show you that on screen, there you
Oh,
go. You've
wow.
got
Okay.
Love Habit.
I can see it the right way around, but other people may not. It may be the other
Yeah,
way around for them, but we'll post a picture of it on
exactly.
now. Yeah.
And I think you'll like this excerpt.
Oh, awesome. I can't wait.
So, Paul's in the monastery at this point, but he's only just come out of seclusion because at first he had to stay very much in his own space, but
Okay.
he's just been introduced to the community. Luke was away from me more than I would like. Even his silent presence was somehow of comfort when we were near. But as our situations were still precarious, neither of us wanted to risk too many nighttime whispers. One morning, we were taken to Brother Jeremy, the cantor, for practice. A hint of frankincense still hung in the air of the church. Clouds outside had darkened the oak-beamed room within. Paul, I understand you have been educated in a monastic school. You have learnt to chant, of course. Aye, sir. He raised a brow but did not comment on my lapse. Very well, let me hear you. Repeat after me. He then sang a simple Alleluia. I repeated as best I could. Very well, repeat the scales after me. I did. Now let me hear Psalm 1. I dutifully sang what was requested. My many hours singing the psalms by rote finally found its purpose. Brother Jeremy neither smiled nor frowned. It is a good enough start. He beckoned Luke, who then stood in my place. I sat to watch, and I thanked God for the seat as the purest tenor notes I ever heard came out of Luke's mouth. It is no exaggeration to say that in that moment, a beam of sunlight found its way through parted clouds and shone through the window directly upon this angel on earth. My heart and soul melted and reformed in the shape of his song.
Oh, I've got goosebumps everywhere. Oh my God, it's beautiful. Ah, literally, I have goosebumps everywhere. I've got to read this book now, darling. I do. I do. Oh, thank you so much. That was so stunning. I mean, I'm like almost tearful. It's brilliant. It's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're
Okay, so
welcome.
since we get to the end of our, you'll have to come back because I've got lots more questions to ask you, which we can't do today, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Um, but I want to ask you two questions that I ask all my authors when I interview them. The first one is this: what do you feel your readers expect from you?
Mm. Um, Usually I would say a strong female main character is sort of my trademark.
Right.
Obviously not in this one. I've got actually a very nerdy main character, but he's got his own strengths. So, you know, my characters, they tend to be fiercely independent.
Awesome. Okay, that sounds good because obviously we want to be inspired by books as well. So it's nice
And
to
they're
have
all
that.
full of emotion as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, that was beautiful, that piece you just read, and full of emotion for sure. And then the last question, my darling, is if your life was a story in a book, what would the title be?
Ah, this life of chaos.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. Thank you so much for joining us. And as I said, you've got to come back. I've got loads more questions to ask you.
Oh, bless you.
Yes, and we've got to talk more about your fabulous books. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you, darling.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been lovely, honestly.
Awesome. Thank you.